morning. Good morning. Oh, there I am. Good morning. And welcome to Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are so glad you are here. My name is Jeffrey Jacoby, and I'm a member of the choir, the story troupe, the musicians of Emerson, that's a tough word to say, isn't it? And the worship team, and I'll be your worship associate today. I offer a special welcome to those of you joining us for the first time, either in person or online. Good morning, online people. We are grateful you are here and look forward to getting to know you. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we affirm the inherent worth and dignity of each and every person through anti-racism, anti-oppression, support for the LGBTQ+ communities, working for reproductive justice, voting rights, and other issues. As the world calls us to side with love, we seek to build a beloved community not only here, but in our surrounding area. If you are viewing online, thank you very much for being with us. We hope to meet you soon sometime in the future. For everyone here in person, you are invited to join us for social time following the service for light refreshments in our fellowship hall, which is located on the first floor right down the hall here. And then at 11:25, please join us for religious exploration and small group activities. They're all listed in the order of service, so you can have a look and see what you'd like to do. There will be also worship reflections here in the sanctuary with Reverend Marti, and additional offerings are listed in your order of service. And now we pause to light our chalice as a symbol of our shared Unitarian Universalist faith. Emily Hausman will be our chalice lighter today. Thank you very much, Emily. Our chalice lighting words today are by Michelle Obama. Just try new things. Don't be afraid. Step out of your comfort zones and soar. All right? Thank you, Emily. And now, in the spirit of love and the beloved community, let's greet and welcome each other to this new day as we share our congregational affirmation, we need not think alike to love alike. Let's greet and welcome each other to this new day. Those in the sanctuary, please feel free to move around to offer greetings, and for those online, please use the chat to introduce yourself. Our opening words are from Reverend Kristen Grassell Schmidt. This Memorial Day weekend, we hold in reverent memory all those whose lives have been cut short while serving in the armed forces. We pause to honor their service, whether they signed up willingly or were drafted, whether they agreed with what they were fighting for or not. We pause today to lift up their families and friends, neighborhoods and communities that will never be the same because they are gone. We pause also to pray for those who are serving today for their safety and well-being. Today we have a guest speaker. This Memorial Day weekend Sunday, we welcome back to Emerson Reverend Marti Keller. Reverend Marti has been serving UU congregations in the South for 25 years. Prior to her ministry, she was a journalist and arts critic and a legislative advocate for reproductive justice. She is also a published poet. And we look forward to hearing Reverend Marti's message in just a little while. But before that, in celebration, let's join together in song. So please rise in body or in voice as we join together in song our opening hymn, number 38, Morning Has Broken.
Good morning. I'm Susan Ullman, a member of our Emerson Pastoral Care team. It's a blessing and a deep honor to be a member of our team. At this point in our service, let's pause and reflect on matters of the heart. Thank you, Jeffrey, for joining me by placing stones in the water. For this morning's ritual, we have water and we have river stones. The stones are smooth and the stones have weight. They represent life's pleasures and its times of ease, and life's burdens and times of heaviness. The water in the bowl receives the stones with ease and with calmness. Each week, you are invited to write a joy, sorrow, concern in this book that's kept over on the clear podium back there, or send it to pastoralcare@emersonuu.org in an email to be read at this time. If you're online, please join us to recreate this at home. You can place a stone in a bowl of water nearby to honor what you're holding in your heart today. Let's begin by placing 3 stones. The first in honor of the Cherokee and Muskogee nations of indigenous peoples who lived here before us. The second for those wrongly enslaved who labored on this land. And the third for all those who are hurting in current conflicts across our globe, especially in the Middle East and Ukraine. Within our community, we share from Chloe and Seth. This is a joy. We've had some major changes over the last year, and I'm so proud of Seth for who he is becoming and for this community of support. Thank you for welcoming us. Thank you for that. And from the home family, 1,000 thank yous to all of our Emerson community for making Natalie's bridging ceremony so magical. It was. I couldn't imagine a more amazing community to raise children in. Much love and gratitude to all of you. You are truly our chosen family. Thank you. Now, in thankful awareness, let's join together to say the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness. It'll be on the screen and it's in your order of service too. May we all be filled with loving kindness. May we all be free from harm and suffering. May we all be well in body, heart, and mind. May we all be at peace. Blessed be. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Unitarian Universalism is a faith often referred to as one of deeds, not creeds. How we show up in the world is how we live our faith. One way to seek to do that is by partnering with other organizations who work to bring love, kindness, and justice to the world. Each Sunday, we collect financial contributions which are shared equally with our partner organization. This month, we share a basket with Must Ministries. During the month of May this year, instead of the Must Summer Lunch program, we are going to again raise funds through the Share the Basket for Must Ministries breakfast program for Hope House clients in Marietta. Because the number of unhoused people has risen and because food is more expensive, we have run out of funds for our breakfast program, so that's where it's going to for this time. For those in the sanctuary, as the basket is passed, please feel free to offer a donation. If you should happen to miss the basket, remember that there are envelopes right at the entrance to the sanctuary and giving boxes on either side of the wall and also one out by the front doors as you come in the building. Look in the order of service for other ways to give electronically, and for those online, go to emersonuu.org, select the Giving tab to donate. All donations, unless otherwise specified, are shared equally between Emerson and our partner organization. We thank you for your contributions.
I think I'm on, yes. I'd like to invite the young at heart to come up. I'm Patricia Johnson, member of the Story Troupe and scribe for the Emerson Board of Trustees. Yay! Good morning. I'm going to read a book called, there we go. Young at Heart. Here we go. I'm going to read a book called Giraffes Can't Dance, written by Giles Andre and illustrated by Guy Parker Reese. So we're off to the jungle this morning. Gerald was a tall giraffe whose neck was long and slim, but his knees were awfully crooked and his legs were rather thin. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots off trees. But when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. Now, every year in Africa, they hold the jungle dance, where every single animal turns up to skip and prance. And this year, when the day arrived, poor Gerald felt so sad, because when it came to dancing, he was really, really bad. The warthogs started waltzing, and the rhinos rocked and rolled. The lions danced a tango that was elegant and bold. The chimps all did a cha-cha with a very Latin feel, and 8 baboons that teamed up for a splendid Scottish reel. Gerald swallowed bravely as he walked toward the floor, but the lions saw him coming, and they soon began to roar. "Hey, look at clumsy Gerald," the animals all sneered. "Giraffes can't dance, you silly fool." "Oh, Gerald, you are so weird." Gerald simply froze up. He was rooted to the spot. "They're right," he thought. "I'm useless. Oh, I feel like such a clot." So he crept off from the dance floor, and he started walking home. He'd never felt so sad before, so sad and so alone. Then he found a little clearing, and he looked up at the sky. "The moon can be so beautiful," he whispered with a sigh. "Excuse me," coughed a cricket who'd seen Gerald earlier on. "But sometimes when you're different, you just need a different song." Listen to the swaying grass and listen to the trees. To me, the sweetest music is those branches in the breeze. So imagine that the lovely moon is playing just for you. Everything makes music if you really want it to. With that, the cricket smiled and picked up his violin. Then Gerald felt his body do the most amazing thing. His hoofs had started shuffling, making circles on the ground. His neck was gently swaying, and his tail was swishing round. He threw his legs out sideways, and he swung them everywhere. Then he did a backward somersault and leapt up in the air. Gerald felt so wonderful. His mouth was open wide. "I am dancing. Yes, I'm dancing. I am dancing," Gerald cried. Then, one by one, each animal who'd been there at the dance arrived while Gerald boogied on and watched him quite entranced. They shouted, "It's a miracle. We must be in a dream. Gerald's the best dancer that we've ever seen." "How did you learn to dance like that? Please, Gerald, tell us how." But Gerald simply twirled around and finished with a bow. Then he raised his head and looked up at the moon and stars above. "We all can dance," he said, "when we find music that we love." The end. Let's sing our song of dedication.
Thank you, Patricia. I love that story. That was great. And now for our time of centering meditation, I'll be sharing some words about Memorial Day from Wayne B. Aronson. Please find a comfortable sitting position, feet on the floor and hands resting comfortably in your lap. Let your eyes close or have soft eyes. Take a deep breath in and hold and exhale and hold and inhale, hold and exhale, hold. Natural, easy breath. Spirit of life, we gather this Memorial Day weekend surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. First among them are all those we remember this day who have lost their lives in war. Members of the armed forces, civilians in service, innocent bystanders, children. For those among us who loved those lost, as family members or as friends, as they served our homeland, this day is a reminder that mourning and honoring never ends. For their service and their sacrifice, we pause in the silence of memory and respect. In the holy quiet of this hour, surrounded by all these witnesses who live with us in blessed memory, we return with them once again to the silence in tribute to all that they have meant to us. Amen.
So I asked Bruce, could we do something with summertime? And this is what we got. What an amazing worship crew you have. I've had the good fortune, this is my 26th year in ministry, and there's some of you out there that remembered me when I was a baby minister. And I have watched you grow and thrive, and I'm so appreciative that you're here in Marietta doing you so amazingly well. So I think you need to give yourself some applause. I also want to thank Reverend Christina for inviting me to share her pulpit. You've got a wonderful minister and a wonderful colleague and a friend. We actually live really close to each other. And the difference between the two of us is that she goes to bed really late and I go to bed really early. And I learned early on that I probably shouldn't call her as early as I did. So. But we're still good friends. Just one more word about Memorial Day. Thank you for all of the acknowledgement, because I'm not going to be talking about it, but it's real. It's real. But it started as Decoration Day, that women from both sides of a war lay late spring and early summer flowers on the graves of their loved ones. So I'm going to be talking a bit about flowers and spring and summertime. And that's kind of where Memorial Day got its start, to remember with the laying of flowers. A wise Greek wrote that all is one, yet everything comes in season. And despite the fact that summer doesn't officially start until June 21st, we all know that it really starts Memorial Day weekend. That's when you can wear white shoes with fashion confidence. I don't have any white shoes anymore, but go for it. And when the Sunday circulars start advertising sales on oversized gas grills and 4th of July decorations. This year, the first orange alert for unhealthy air, otherwise known as smog, was May 6th. It's true, May 6th. I wrote it down and I groaned, what with the high tree pollen and leaf mold counts as well. No matter that the weeks that followed, including parts of yesterday, were almost as cold and gray here as July in Northern California, where I spent my life up until 31 years ago. The coldest winter Mark Twain ever spent was July in San Francisco. But I knew that this kind of cool weather we had yesterday morning was just an aberration. It was only a matter of a few hours or maybe a few days before the southern heat would set in and the humidity rise, and whatever cold I feel between now and sometimes in September will be the frigid temperatures inside every building, especially movie theaters, let alone the blazing intensity of heat domes and a record number of tropical cyclones and major hurricane forecasts as El Nino sets in. let alone the sweltering and battering vagaries of the climate change that certain governors are banning from our publicly funded vocabulary. Now, not climate change. Couldn't do that, wish they could, but the word climate change, and it's a little south of us where the governor just did that last week, passed a law saying you can't say climate change in a classroom anymore. Isn't that amazing? As much as I love the spring here in Georgia, who doesn't? Who doesn't? The usual magical unfurling of bulbs and bushes, the crocuses, the daffodils, the tulips, the stinky pears, the dogwood, then the azaleas, right? Last the azaleas. I ironically observe the order of their blooming with increasing dread because this is evidence that we are that much closer to summer. This year, like last year, and as I recall the year before, the blossoms came at least 2 weeks too early. The calendar might have read still spring. In fact, I think it was kind of earlier in the spring. There indeed were flowers abounding, but they didn't fool me, judging by the cunning switching out of flora, the red roses, the magnolia blossoms, the begonias in planters. It might as well have been July botanically. Right? You know how they fool you sometimes? Nah. Not my favorite month in my least favorite season. The 2024 summer season has come, no matter how hard I have tried to wish it away. For me, you see, summer is entirely too sluggish and unfettered. I was, you see, the kind of kid who pretended to look forward to the end of school and then eagerly registered for the very first summer school session. The kind of kid whose scary Aunt Doris had to order her to go outside in the fresh air and sunshine, when I had spent an entire week holing up in her guest room reading. You're so unappreciative, she scolded me, of the rare good August weather in her corner of New England, which was actually up in the Berkshires. That kind of kid, the kind of adult who has little or no use for sand, which always comes with beaches. I am, by the way, not alone in not preferring summer. In fact, I'm in very good literary company. Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of our Unitarian heroes, wrote that, "Do what we can, summer will have its flies." Samuel Taylor Coleridge reported that summer has set in with its usual severity, and Sidney Smith in Lady Holland's memoir declared, "Heat, ma'am? It's so dreadful here that I found there was nothing left for it to do but to take off my flesh and sit on my bones." When the rapture and the countdown to Judgment Day did not come off as predicted by a minister in Oakland, California, and quite a few others, a few summers back, you remember that? We were going. I was said to have muttered that this didn't mean we have been saved from the hellishness of summer here. One columnist observed that while somebody led us to believe that we wouldn't be here another week, that there would be no more ribs, no more moon pies, no more Peachtree road races to train for, the end of the world has been at the very least delayed, leaving us with something, she wrote, much, much worse. Nothing's changed. We are still here, and that what lies ahead is beastly humidity and months of seasonal traffic snarling highway work. Right? Isn't this just making you cheerful about the start of summer? On the other hand, Caitlin Matthews, writing in Summer Solstice, celebrating the journey of the sun from May Day to harvest, argues for the particular pleasures and gifts of each season, with summer being a time of reverence for the sun. Reverence for the sun, not the blonde, bikinied sun worshipers of modern Madison Avenue and even TikTok creation. I try to get TikTok into every sermon. But the ancient tradition of giving thanks for the season of maximum daylight that warms us and promotes growth, the primacy of summer sun. From the beginning of recorded history, the sun has symbolized glory and power and brilliance in all of the formally recorded mythologies and spiritualities of the world, the sun is portrayed as a god or a goddess in Egypt and Greece and Rome and even Christianity, with some descriptions of Christ as the sun driving his chariot across the sky. For our ancestors, we are told, the comings and goings of the sun were a constant sacred reminder of the cycle of life itself, the triumph of light over dark, life over death, with festivals of the sun being celebrated in Eastern religious traditions, at celestial temples such as Angkor Wat in Cambodia, in Hindu culture, where nearly all of the major Hindu deities are associated with the sun. Contrast that with, you know how hot it was in New Delhi yesterday? 125 degrees. And still, the worshiping, the honoring of sun deities. In our own hemisphere, rituals from earliest times centered around the sun among the Zuni native peoples, whose sun priests enacted spirit dances, the steps of which were handed down from generation to generation. In these dances, the spirit people are kachinas, returned from the lower world where it was still winter, passing through the earth on a journey up to the mountains where they would commune with the dead, dark to light, death to life, winter to summer. While many of the rituals took place and still take place around the actual summer solstice in June, other rituals of summer took place and still take place long before Memorial Day weekend, with May Day celebrations in Northern Europe acknowledged as the first day of summer, a time to invoke the sun and its new energy, to turn the cattle out to pasture again, to move the sheep from home fields to rougher land, and to prepare the soil for planting. A time to bring flowers in from outdoors, decorating the house for the dawning of summer, replanting bushes to protect homes, festooned with bright scraps of material or garlands made of eggshells. We are asked to imagine the landscape of rural Ireland, for example, and its Celtic culture, how magical it must have looked and still looks in May, as May marked the turning of the seasons. For the Celts, the metaphor for human creation is that of being shaped from clay. And where else? You know this also in the Christian and Jewish Bible? The second version of how people were created was we were created from clay. And as we are formed from clay, the rhythm of the seasons outside in nature is also active in our own hearts. There are 4 seasons within the clay heart, each of them providing different solder for our growth and development. Writer John O'Donohue describes the varying challenges and gifts for the soul that accompany each season, from what he described as the bleak, emptying time of winter, you know that one, the bleak, emptying time of winter, to the great exuberance and hope of spring. And this is what he says about the summer. Summer is seen as a time of light, growth, and arrival. It's a time of great balance. You are in the flow of your own nature. You can take as many risks as you like and still always land on your feet, because there's enough shelter and depth of texture around you in the summer to balance, ground, and mind you. Summer as a time to take risks. What does that look like? Okay, my first idea was this. One possibility is the new Georgia Surfer roller coaster ride that just opened at Six Flags. Riders strap into a free spinning seat on top of a massive board that travels the wavy track up to speeds of 60 miles an hour before diving into a splash pad. How many of you are with me for this being the first risk you take this summer? Too much of a risk? Or is this normal thrill-seeking for you? Come on, confess. This is normal thrill-seeking. My twin brother has never seen, you see, a coaster he hasn't immediately wanted to ride. For my husband, physical risk-taking meant walking across the Brooklyn Bridge last summer. He has a fear of suspended heights that made this such an incredible challenge to him, you should have seen it, and a terrifying but exhilarating risk. For me, swimming in water where I can't feel the bottom fits the bill. For you, what is it for you? Oh, good. Taking food risks is another possibility. Not, of course, eating anything that you know would trigger severe allergic or dietary reactions, but is perhaps something you would not ordinarily consider, such as traveling to Corinth, Mississippi in July for their Slug Burger Festival. A deep-fried beef and soy meal patty served on a bun. Or how about this one, the West Virginia Roadkill Cook-Off? Or staying closer to home, going to Buford Highway. Just going to Buford Highway and its dozens of ethnic eateries and grocery stores, and the possibilities there, Vietnamese fried egg sandwiches, squash empanadas, chicken feet dim sum, my late father's personal favorite. For me, it might be breaking down and surprising my husband by agreeing to a matinee showing of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, wherein the human population has been rendered dumb by the same virus that made apes intelligent. After all, it's just a couple of hours out of my entire life. Actually, 2 hours and 26 minutes out of my entire life. Just saying, just saying. You want to go? Beyond or in addition to physical or cultural risk-taking, which is what I've been talking about, there is theological risk. Theological risk-taking. Consider rereading or reading Houston Smith's book on world religions. How many of you have read that? And visit or revisit the religions or an aspect of a religion that is the most difficult or puzzling to you. Explore this from a place of curiosity. Explore from a place of curiosity a belief that you absolutely don't get. For me, it might be picking up a book on past lives, or the notion of a real heaven or a hell. What would it be for you? What would be that risk? And then there's spiritual risk-taking in the summer season for the sake of balance, deliberately switching out one form of practice for getting whole and connected to another. Reverend Peter Tufts Richardson, a UU minister, developed what has been lauded as an ingenious way of using a combination of Jungian psychology and personality types to delineate 4 types of spiritual journeys, in some ways parallel to the 4 seasons, what he has called the 4 ways: meditation, intellect, devotion or love, and works. His theory is that we can use the Myers-Briggs personality types. How many of you have done that, Myers-Briggs? Most of us have. To sort for these 4 native spiritualities: the journey of unity, the journey of devotion, the journey of harmony, and the journey of works. While we begin, he says, with strong and basic or native spiritual preferences and practices that attach to them, he is convinced that each one of us can develop what he describes as, and I love this, considerable spiritual poise. Don't you want to be spiritually poised this summer? An equilibrium coming from a place of creative understanding of the 3 other spiritualities that are not primarily our own, moving around in a circle like a mandala, like the seasons of the year. The summer season then might be the very best time, as we are supported and grounded, to deliberately try out opposite practices. For me, whose native comfortable spirituality is the journey of unity, with reading and silent meditation or reflection on a single word or a picture adding the most clarity and balance and symmetry to my life, the practices of a journey of devotion with hands-on direct experiences, music, dancing, exultant singing, or even the swinging of incense would be a risk and an enrichment for me this summer. For some whose primary practice is doing, is action, is works, whether swimming laps or washing feet or serving soup or protesting injustice, then maybe a quieter, reflective time of silence, yoga, or meditation would be the kind of summer risk we are encouraged to take. Or those of you whose usual journey is seeking harmony, you know who you are, you want things to be harmonious, might deliberately try to find and really experience places of discordance. Not very hard to do these days. Planting, I love this, a chaos garden a chaos garden, randomly sprinkling leftover seeds, and mixing annuals and perennials and fruits and vegetables, and being curious then about what sprouts or what doesn't sprout, because we can't control everything, not even our spiritual growth. So take this season as has been given us, hot and humid, indolent and fertile, lushness everywhere, and a depth of texture. Summer is the time to develop faith in our life, squash the darkness with light, and trust that just like the sun, we will rise each day, no matter what life brings us. May it be so. Did I do the hymn? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to announce the hymn. I'm going to announce the hymn, and it's a hymn I know really well. Spirit of Life was like the UU anthem when I was a younger person. Now I think it might be Blue Boat Home, but Spirit of Life is a good one. So rise in body and voice for number 123, Spirit of Life. So the closing words? When I figured out how to work my grill, it was quite a moment. I discovered that summer is a completely different experience when you know how to grill. Taylor Swift.
What more do you need to say after Taylor Swift? So today, for just a couple of quick announcements. Actually, before we do that, I skipped the chalice extinguishing. As our chalice is extinguished this morning, and Emily joins me again, thank you very much. Please join me in our closing words. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. Today's pagan meeting for second hour activities will not be in room 209. They will be in 215. That's 215 for cups today. And please join us again next week as our very own Reverend Christina Branham Martin returns to the pulpit for her service entitled The Question Service. In this service, the discussion will all be about questions, and Reverend Christina will be prepared to answer questions at the service, any questions that you have. So what you can do is you email any question you can think of, doesn't matter what it is, the sky's the limit, I understand. No subject is off the table, and just email them to Reverend Christina by Wednesday, if you can, at minister@emersonuu.org, and she'll be doing all those questions in next week, next Sunday. And as our service ends, go in peace and take peace wherever you go. And happy Memorial Day.